धारी यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजन यमुना तीर वनचारी जय राध माधव कुंज बिहारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरवरधारी यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजन यमुना तीर वनचारी जय राध माधव कुंज बिहारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरवरधारी यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजन यमुना तीर वनचारी। ओम अंजनातिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै गुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरुशिरयुतपदाकमलं श्रीगुरुवैष्णवे च श्रीरूपं सग्राचितं सहगना रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं स्वादितं प्रजिना सहितं कृष्ण चैतन्य देवं श्रीराधा कृष्ण पदां सह गणा ललिता श्री विशाखं च। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीन बंधु राधा कांत गोपेश गोपिका कांता राधा कांता नमोस्तुते। सप्ता कचना गौरंगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुस्तुते देवी प्रणमामि हरे प्रिया। वाञ्छा कल्पप्रदस्य च कृपा सिन्धुभया एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवे नमो नमो नमः। श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैता गदाधार शिव सादि गौर भक्ता वृंदा। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। So welcome to the Sunday afternoon ISKCON Manchester ISKCON program, and I want to welcome all the devotees to the program where I'm going to be giving my first preaching class. So I seek all your blessings and patience in case I make mistakes. I hope I can say something useful and help us, which will help us in our spiritual life. I also thank ISKCON management for encouraging me and giving me opportunity, because I can speak one-to-one, but I get very nervous when I have to speak in front of people. So what I'm planning to do is to help me. I need your support. I want it to be an interactive class so that I will be talking less, you will be talking more, and my class will look wonderful. And and it is, it's a big blessing. Secretly, I always wanted to preach because it is, we are, as Vaishnavas, each of us should be a preacher. So some of us have a lot of confidence to preach, but others do not come forward because they are very hesitant. And then our clever management just gives us that push, and there is no way to go back. It's only going forward. So this small step would help us to glorify our acharyas, Panchatattva, Harinam, making and serving prasadam. Talking of prasadam, how many of you are missing our Sunday feast? and the association, of course, and the kirtan. So we just pray that it won't be long before we can all associate in person. Now, today's topic is 3 types of charities. We will discuss about the essential need for charity for grahasthas, the householders, and also discuss what is the difference between charity in mode of goodness, charity in mode of passion, and charity in mode of ignorance, and how how are their effects different, what we must keep in mind while we are giving charity. Now, we are very blessed in our country, UK, where a lot of charity work happens. Not only charity work, also volunteer work. How many of you have ever participated in any volunteer work which is not, which is for the country, not for Krishna consciousness? Can you share with me any incident where you may have done charity work for the country, but not for ISKCON? Okay, so I'm inviting you to interrupt and join when I'm asking. So what I would share is that I have done a lot of voluntary work. From the age of 16, I have contributed in charities, working for this, I did a Duke of Edinburgh Award scheme, and part of that scheme, I had to work I had to do voluntary work for 1 year. And I worked every Sunday at a psychiatric hospital. And also part of Duke of Edinburgh, I worked for some of the disabled homes. And then after, when I was in Middle East, I also worked for Indian Ladies Association, who were doing work for children with disabilities. They were running association which helped to run a school for children with disabilities. And then when I came back to UK after 28, 30 years, I did another 2 years of charity work where I helped people with disabilities and took them for shopping, etc. So, but now, is that charity, what mode of charity is that? I will, as we talk about the charities, we will come to know what mode I was in when I was doing those charities, and what mode it is when we are doing charity in Krishna consciousness. So we will go to, Prabhuji, would we share Bhagavatam chapter 17, text 20 to 21, so that we can have devotees
Yes,
read?
sure. I can share. Just one thing, I just had a comment on YouTube. I'll read it out for you.
Haribol.
James Prabhu was mentioning in answer to your question about whether they had done any charity. And James Prabhu mentions, I did voluntary work at the British Heart Foundation as a warehouse assistant.
Haribol. Yeah, because the British Heart Foundation is an excellent charity which does a lot of work, good work. Thank you, Prabhuji, for sharing that.
Okay, so you want me to share the verses, don't you?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Let me, yes, I got here. Just 1 second. We'll share the screen. Okay. Can you see?
Yes, Haribol. I'll do the Sanskrit, and then I would like to invite some, I'll do the Sanskrit and the explanation, translation, and then I would invite somebody to read the purport. So Datyavam iti yad danam dityate nupakrine disha kale cha patre cha tad danam satvikam smritam. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Charity given out of duty, without expectation of return, at the proper time and place, and to a worthy person, is considered to be in mode of goodness. We will discuss this more after we hear the purport. And who would somebody kindly read the purport?
Any volunteers, please unmute and read the
Can I
purport.
read Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Hare Krishna Mataji?
Sure,
Go.
Mataji, please
Yes,
go.
Mataji. Thank you.
In the Vedic literature, charity given to a person engaged in spiritual activities is recommended. There is no recommendation for giving charity indiscriminately. Spiritual perfection is always a consideration. Therefore, charity is recommended to be given at a place of pilgrimage and at lunar or solar eclipses or at the end of the month or to a qualified Brahmana or a Vaishnava devotee or in temples. Such charity should be given without any consideration of return. Charity to the poor is sometimes given out of compassion, but if a poor man is not worth giving charity to, then there is no spiritual advancement. In other words, indiscriminate charity is not recommended in the Vedic literature.
Thank you, Mataji. So when it says here, charity given out of duty, according to the Shastra, charity, there are 4 ashrams: the brahmachari, one grasta, one prastha, and sannyasi. The brahmachari age ashram is from 0 to 25. At that stage, the person doesn't have any money, and he or she is dependent on parents and family. But when you become grahastha, generally from 25 to 50, but you are earning money, and that's grahastha. It's the responsibility of grahastha to give charity, so that they can purify their existence. Now, this charity should be given without expectation of return. That is what is mode of goodness. If there are times people go to temples, give charity, and they pray to God, and they say, when my daughter goes to Oxford University, then, here I'm giving this, and please, Lord, help her to get to Oxford University. Let her get first class. Or, number of other, let us have a grandson, or let us have a big house or new car. These sort of, that charity is in mode of passion. And we will read about passion later. Then we will move on to reading that text 21. We'll share, Prabhuji, text 21, to understand more about charity.
Sure, I will share the screen.
Shloka 7.21. Yat tu praryatya paratam phalam udishya vapuna dhyate cha pariklilistam tad danam rajasam smritam. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. But charity performed with the expectation of some return, or with the desire for fruitive results, or in a grudging mood, is said to be charity in mode of passion. So when we go to a temple or give some donation, but have some expectation of some return or a fruitive result, because maybe we want to, declare that I have given 50,000 rupees to ISKCON temple, that is done in a mode of passion. Or if a devotee, any devotee comes to you and asks you for some Lakshmi for the temple or for some cause, for instance, I will be coming to you soon for TOVP, because that's one of the projects that I want to help my Guru Maharaj with. And so for the Northwest, I want to be able to go to each devotee and ask for some donation for TOVP. Some people already have done it, but this is to fulfill his desire. I would like to help him with that. But if you were to give me in a grudging mood, that would be in a mode of passion. And could somebody please volunteer to read the purport? Who would like to?
I can read, Mataji, if you want.
Hari Bol, Mataji. Mataji, and also I would like you to read the next shloka, because the way you do the shloka is very beautiful. So the next one, I will be asking you to do the Sanskrit.
Thank you, Mataji.
Hari Bol, Mataji.
Charity is sometimes performed for elevation to the heavenly kingdom, and sometimes with great trouble and with repentance afterwards. Why have I spent so much in this way? Charity is also sometimes given under some obligation, at the request of a superior. These kinds of charity are said to be given in the mode of passion. There are many charitable foundations which offer their gifts to institutions where sense gratification goes on. Such charities are not recommended in the Vedic scripture. Only charity in the mode of goodness is recommended. Hari Bol.
Hari Bol. So one charity in passion comes to mind is political funds. When somebody gives a contribution, large contributions to a political party, but there is that contribution is given because they want certain business wants a favor, or certain kind of, they want the government to pass a certain kind of a law. And this is all in mode of passion. Now, moving on to 22. Bhuvneshri Mataji, would you like to do the shloka 22? Prabhuji, if you share text 22.
Wants me to do the Sanskrit. Adeshakale yaddanam apatrebhyascha diyate asatkrutam avapnatam tattamasam udavritam.
And you could read the translation too, Mataji.
Translation by Srila Prabhupada. And charity performed at an impure place at an improper time to unworthy persons or without proper attention and respect is said to be in the mode of ignorance.
Okay, thank you, Mataji. So,
thank you.
Hari Bol. Contributions, purport, contributions for indulgence in intoxication and gambling are not encouraged here. That sort of contribution is in the mode of ignorance. Such charity is not beneficial. Rather, sinful persons are encouraged. Similarly, if a person gives charity to a suitable person, but without respect and without attention, that sort of charity is also said to be in mode of darkness. So here it is very clearly says that even if you give charity to a suitable person, but if you give it without respect, without attention, if you give it grudgingly, then it is in a mode of darkness. So we should be, as devotees, when somebody asks for any donation for ISKCON work, we may be, sometimes we could honor that, we could contribute something, but if we are not able to contribute, then we have to be very polite. We do not have to make the person who's asking for the charity feel bad. We have to be very careful because they are doing Krishna's work when they're coming to ask you for charity. Because when we take Diksha, when we are initiated, the first thing we are taught after initiation is to go begging as a blessing, so that we learn to be able to ask for donations. Now, the injunction of Shastra about charity is that charity should be given to qualified Brahmana or sannyasi, because they will spend it for the benefit of the whole human society. This is called charity in goodness. In Shastras, there's no recommendation for giving charity to the unqualified person. Before I came, or when I first came into Krishna consciousness, I used to have a lot of arguments with the other devotees about charity. I used to feel that because I used to think that charity to humanity is very important. And I could not understand how the charity in ISKCON, in Krishna consciousness, is more important. It is a process, it takes a long time to really understand how that charity is the highest, because it is the direct service to Lord Krishna. Any charity that is done in Krishna consciousness is a direct service to the Lord. You will not, and that charity helps in advancement of our spiritual life. If we help build a hospital, Dharamshala, that is it's good, but it's not in mode of goodness. And for us as devotees, we have to focus on this highest form of charity, which is done in Krishna consciousness. Now, we can be doing, there's loads of charity work that we can do. For Manchester ISKCON, now we have an initiative. Prabhuji, what's the name where we contribute the money for the books? For those who cannot...
Shastradhan, Madhav Kumar Prabhu is doing.
Kumar Prabhuji is doing Shastradhan, right?
Shastra means scripture, Dhan means charity. Charity of the scripture, donating scriptures to others.
Yeah, that's a wonderful charity. And also in ISKCON Manchester, we do a food distribution. For that charity, we are, when the temple is open, we are contributing either food items, or we come and cook the prasadam, which can be then donated to the people who are in need of food. Also, what other charity we do, for all the different, during Janmashtami or any festival, that is the time we should, nobody should have to remind us, temple authorities shouldn't have to remind us that we should be contributing towards that program. And also, as a Vanprastha, as a Grasta, we should, at the end of the month, we should contribute some money towards the temple, because ISKCON doesn't believe in membership. We would be members of the Manchester ISKCON temple and give monthly. It's purely voluntary. It's upon us to contribute something. And when we are contributing towards the temple, we are also looking at the future, how our temple is going to expand. So it is duty of us not only to contribute ourselves to build up that fund, so that one day we can build up our Manchester ISKCON community, which has farms, shops. That would also take a lot of effort to go and get some Lakshmi from sponsor, get sponsorships. So we have to be ready to contribute our time and effort and energy to make this dream come true. Now, I'll share a story with you. Before I share a story, a couple of stories about charity, why we have to be careful in how we do a charity. Srila Prabhupada highly glorifies and hails anyone who would give, as per Rupa Goswami, 50% of their wealth to Brahmanas and Vaishnavas, 25% to relatives, and 25% for personal use. Now, I know when we say you give 50% to propagate KC all over the world, and 25% for household and 25% relative, sometimes it may not be possible to follow this to the word, but at least it gives us an idea that how much we should be how we should be simplifying our life so that we can contribute as a large portion of our money to the work done by ISKCON. We may not, as I said, some of us may be in a position to give more than 50%. And it's not only, when we're talking about charity, it's not only about the income. There are people who have give their life because they say, we are born many times, but this one life we are going to give to Krishna. And when you give yourself completely to Krishna, that is, that's the biggest charity. And recently I've been listening to some talks by the president of Chennai ISKCON, and Mataji, that Chennai ISKCON, Prabhuji and Mataji retired from their work life early to devote their lives to propagating Krishna consciousness in Chennai. And same for the ISKCON for Tirupati. Revati Raman Prabhuji, he gave up his successful career, and we know of many others, and then established the Tirupati ISKCON. And what he recently, when I was listening to his talk, he said that he's in touch with his friends who were, his classmates who worked with him. He said, now they are all retired. But he, with the number of projects he has at Tirupati ISKCON, he is the busiest person. Not only he is busy, then his family, his married daughters, they live nearby and they do other jobs, but they're also involved in the projects. So when you give yourself to the work in ISKCON, it changes your life, because his friends now are trying to cope with how to deal with retirement, whereas he is in a blissful state, and all his time is so occupied that, if we want to invite Revati Raman Prabhu to give a talk or share some of his experiences, we have to kind of, book him to give us that slot. So this is the kind of life, blissful life, people can live when they are in Krishna consciousness. And you've all heard the story of Bali Maharaj. When Bali Maharaj asked Lord Vamandev, you have come here to ask me for something. Therefore, you may take from me whatever you desire. So Lord Vamandev asked for 3 paces of land in charity. Since Lord took all the words with 2 steps, Bali Maharaj offered his head for 3rd step. He was fixed in his vow and he did not give up in truthfulness. And Lord was so pleased with his charity that Lord gave him a place not obtainable even by the by the gods. He gave him planet Sutala. And this is a planet which is protected by the Lord, and it is free from mental and bodily miseries. At this point, I would invite, is there anybody who wants to share any story that they have about charity? If not, then I will tell you the story of King Nrika. While I was preparing for this talk, this was the first time I came across this story of King Nrika, and I really enjoyed it. And I'm sure you're going to all enjoy listening to this story. So, once the family members of Lord Krishna, all princes of Yadu dynasty, they went for a long picnic in the forest near Dwarka. And as they were playing and they became tired and thirsty, they were looking for water. And while they searching for water, they approached a well. And they found no water in it. But they saw a large lizard. They thought they better run home and share this with their uncle. So they returned and they told Lord Krishna about this large lizard. So Lord, he personally went to the well and easily got the lizard out of the well simply by extending his left hand. And immediately upon being touched by the hand of Lord Krishna, the great lizard appeared as a beautiful demigod. Then he told Lord Krishna about his past life. He said, although Krishna knows everything, but for our benefit, he said to Lord, my dear Lord, I am King Nrika, the son of King Ishwavaku. He said that he had been very charitably disposed and had given so many cows, bestowed gifts upon Brahmanas, and he had dug wells, planted trees on the roadside, and installed ponds along the highways. But in spite of all this, unfortunately, one of the Brahmanas' cows that he had given in charity chanced to come back amongst his cows. And he did not know anything about this. Not knowing, he then gave this again in charity to another Brahmana. Now, as the cow was being taken away by this Brahmana, its former master claimed it as his own, stating, this cow was given to me first, So how is it you are taking it away? They were arguing and fighting between them, the two Brahmanas. And they came before me and charged that I had taken back a cow I had previously given in charity. To give something to someone and then to take it back is considered a great sin, especially in dealing with Brahmanas. And so to pacify them and to end the dispute, the king was offering them. He said, "Okay, I'll offer you 100,000 cows in place of that cow." But they were not willing to accept this. And they the Brahmanas just did not accept the king's proposal, and they left in anger. And thinking, they were really very angry with the Brahmana. After this incident, when the time came for the king to give up his body, he was taken before Yamraj, who asked him whether he first wanted to enjoy the results of his pious activities or suffer the results of his impious activities. He chose to suffer the results of his impious activities first, so that later he can enjoy the results of his pious activities for a long time. Therefore, Yamraj immediately turned him into a lizard. King Riga could have first accepted, the results of his pious activities. Instead, he thought it better first to receive the effects of his impious activities and then enjoy the effects of his pious activities without disturbance. On the whole, do you think that was was it the correct mood? Was it in a Krishna consciousness mood? Prabhuji, would you like to say something about it?
Me?
You're muted.
Okay, yes, okay. I was trying to show the picture of
Yeah,
this
that would be nice.
King Binuruga, just to paint that story. Just give me 1 second. Let me share this. So there you go. Hopefully you can see that Mataji was mentioning all these yadhus, the children, they were playing, and they came across this well, and that's Krishna's lotus hand trying to grab hold of this lizard. Very fortunate being touched by the lotus hand of Lord Krishna. Yeah, so okay. So what were you asking? Do you want me to say anything on that? What did you say?
Yes, yeah. What I'm saying is, what mood did he give?
Yes.
Why did he become lizard? What was, and also when he was asked which do you want, the impious or pious?
Yes, so certainly King Nuruga was a very pious king, because he had that nature to give charity to Brahmanas. So he had that a wonderful, good quality of giving in charity to Brahmanas. He was not giving drunkards or gamblers or someone else or something like that. So that is but there is even higher than that. One can give for pure Krishna consciousness. Of course, as Mataji mentioned, even with a small accidental error, it was not a voluntary mistake that he made. It was an accidental error that caused him to be taken to the court of Yamraj. But however, he chose to suffer for his sinful activities first, and then later enjoy um, of his pious pious activities, fruits of his pious activities. But yeah, so this is like even with the small mistake in this charity. Could force him to become a lizard. However, he came in touch with Krishna. He came in touch with Krishna. He was picked up by Krishna. I don't know how long he was there. Some people call it that that was the dinosaur or something like that. It was a huge lizard, but I don't know how long he had to suffer in that well for. And if I remember well from that story, that Krishna instructs all others, see that if you cause pain to Brahmanas, if you offend Brahmanas, this is the result. So never ever offend Vaishnavas and Brahmanas. If I remember that story, it was a long time that I read. Yes, so Mataji, yes, I'll pass it back to you. There are others, Radha Vinod Prabhu and others are there if they want to share anything on that. That's a beautiful story in this connection of charity.
Yes, this is, as you said, does anybody want to share their thoughts on charity from this
Yes,
story?
let's unmute, and anybody wants to talk anything about charity or on this story Mataji mentioned, please do so. Any comments? And if you don't have a comments, you can also ask a question.
Now we have another beautiful pastime of Sakshi Gopal also.
Yeah,
yes,
Haribu.
please carry on, Prabhu.
So the Sakshi Gopal, where the old Brahmana and young Brahmana, they went for a pilgrimage, and the young Brahmana served this old Brahmana very nicely. So, pleasing his, wonderful service. So this old Brahmana, he want to give his daughter in charity, means in marriage. And so he gave the word before Sakshi Gopal deity. And once he went back to his village, his family members, they did not accept that one. Of course, we call it the Kanyadan. Yeah. Generally, the parents, they want to give their daughter in marriage to a very, having quality of devotion rather than a rich person like that. So this old Brahmana, he want to give his daughter to this young Brahman who was very poor actually, but he's a wonderful devotee. So I want to give my daughter in marriage. But in his son and his family members, they did not agree. So of course, actually he quoted this king's example also. If we give charity to a Brahmana, we cannot take it back. And this is the example quoted in our scriptures like that. So anyway, it went to local village council, and then the young Brahmana also came to the council. But his intention is to protect the piety of this old Brahman. And finally, the council says, if he gave you word before deity, bring Gopal here as a witness. So the council asks this young Brahman. So then Lord personally came by walk to protect the piety of this old Brahmana and to tell all of us how much importance is charity, and one should not take his word back. Once you offer some charity to others, that too particularly to a Brahmana. So that's a very beautiful pastime we have, in our scriptures also, where Krishna himself came as a witness. Yes,
Thank you, Prabhuji, for such a wonderful story. Yeah. And also, it just shows us that when we give charity, we have to be very careful. We have to look into, do some background work, especially if you're giving a large sum for certain project, whatever, that it is going to the right person, to the right authority. Otherwise, if I'm correct, Prabhuji, we can unknowingly get the, take on the bad karma of that charity that we gave in good faith.
Yes. Yes, agree. Yes, that's a wonderful point. Yes.
And charity should be, we should not, when we're giving charity, we should not make, it should be given quietly. As they say, the left hand doesn't know, right hand has given charity. Because when we're giving this, we're not giving for name or fame of, to puff ourselves. And also, they say when you're giving charity, you've got to stretch yourself a bit. If I think, yes, for my monthly payment, I can afford to pay £10 a month towards the upkeep of Manchester ISKCON, and I can then, or I can give £10 towards manner, so we all have to work it out properly, how and what, so that you have to organize yourself, because this happens that you will get a request from something to do with your own temple, then you get request from a temple, but then you also have to give charity to the dham. So whenever you go for pilgrimage to Vrindavan, to Mayapur, to Jagannath Puri, or any other temples, that is the time we have to, go loaded to be able to, at that time, give charity. And they also were saying here that charity should be given at the proper time and proper place, and to a worthy person. So, like we read, that, sometimes people give charity at the time of lunar or solar eclipse. But that's where we can also give charity for all our major festivals, because each festival costs a lot of money. And if we responsibly, quietly, before the festival happens, we all contribute something towards it. With 200, 300 devotees, everybody donating £5 or £10 towards that program, it makes it a lot easier for the management. They don't have a headache because they've got that £2,000-3,000 towards that program. So charity, as Prabhupada says, and as I am now understanding after I've done all of that charity work, recently, because I did some voluntary work for 1.5 years, looking after some disabled lady, I thought, no, now any work I am going to do, I'm going to do for ISKCON. Because now, as a devotee, I understand, I'm beginning to understand that we are not doing this work of spiritual life just for today. We are doing this for our long term, and for going back to Godhead. And this is where you see that Amrish Maharaj, being the owner of Ford, he has given most of his money towards TOVP. But that doesn't mean to say that, we have to, you can only think of charity in terms of money. Money you give to your capacity. You stretch yourself a little more, because Krishna, from a person who has stretched himself, his 5 pounds may be more dear to Krishna than 50,000 pound of a rich person for whom that 50,000 pound is not a stretch. And we know we have certain stories in Ramayana with Kuber. Lord loved that she had given her bear, making sure that Lord doesn't get any bitter bear. All the bears are sweet. And we can also give our time. Sometimes giving time is more precious than Lakshmi, because temples need people to come. To run a temple needs a lot of work and a lot of time. And we have such wonderful devotees in our Manchester ISKCON that are quietly serving this temple. None of them, they're all working. And then they're stretching themselves to make sure the temple programs are run. So that is the highest kind of charity that Prabhupada invites us all to be doing. And recently, with what's happening with COVID, a lot of temples are closed. They're not receiving the funds. So, we've been asked that we should be looking after Mayapur. We should be contributing towards Mayapur. We should be contributing towards Vrindavan Dham. I don't know about our local temples. When it still needs funds, even though when it's closed, for running it. Now, does anybody else want to add any further points that come to their mind about, who are doing more work than I from Preston, for Manchester ISKCON, especially towards our temple?
Thank you so much, Mataji, for a number of wonderful points you raised. And I will now ask any devotees, whether they are on YouTube or on Zoom. If you are on YouTube, please type in your question or comment, then we will read it out and discuss. And if you are on Zoom, just unmute yourself and please participate in the discussion if you have any question or comment.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, and thank you so much for a really nice class. I just wanted to add that on Friday, Madhav Kumar Prabhu also shared a really nice story, which is related to your topic of charity. And just to remind everyone, it was where Lord Buddha, he was being given gifts from other people. And there was, he got lots of nice gifts, but he didn't really bother about the gifts. And one old lady came with half a pomegranate, and the Lord stood up and he made a seat for her and he cleaned it up and he said, please take a seat. And then he welcomed her nicely, had a nice talk with her. After she went, the disciples of Lord Buddha asked her, all these kings have given so much charity, and this lady, she only gave you half a pomegranate, yet you stood up and gave her a seat. Lord, kindly explain. And he said, yes, the others had a lot more, than they could have given me a lot more, but this old lady had this one pomegranate to last her the whole week, yet she gave 50% of that, and that's why I was really happy with her. So I just wanted to add that.
Thank you, Mataji, for that wonderful story, because it just shows that it's our bhav, our attitude in which we offer our charity.
That's right.
It's
That's
very important.
Yes, that's why Krishna says, if one offers with love a fruit, flower, leaf, or water, because when you think about it, neither the fruit, flower, leaf, or water belong to us. It's only the love that we have that we can give to Krishna. So, Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Sumedha Radhamarkaji. Wonderful point. And Krishna has everything. He only lacks one thing. That is our love. he has everything and he lacks our love. And the point is, when it comes to charity, it is not only the money, but also giving ourselves to Krishna is also charity, as Mataji mentioned. Giving ourselves to Prabhupada's service is also charity. Again, like however much we can give, that depends on our personal circumstances, but we should try and endeavor to give more time to Prabhupada. Because the nature of the material world is it always keeps us busy with other things. So that can be done. So wonderful. Thanks for sharing that wonderful story of pomegranate by this.
I like to do. Can I say something?
Yes. Where are you? I can't see you. Okay.
No, I'm a bit invisible.
You are in invisible mode.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mataji. It was really, I would just say, I really, really enjoyed your talk. It was very, very sweet. And I could feel it was coming directly from your heart. So you left a very, very big, good impression on my heart. So thank you ever so much. It was very, very sweet. Thank you.
Excellent. Any other comments? Niru Mataji usually asks a question. Today, Mataji became quiet. That means all our questions are answered by Meenakshi Mataji.
Prabhuji, I've got one question.
Okay, please.
Thank you, Mataji, for a wonderful class. I'm just a little bit confused, because you say that giving charity for a dharmashala is in the mode of passion, did you say, or ignorance? Because I thought, helping devotees was...
It's a Rajasika, isn't it?
Yeah, but that is passion, isn't it? Giving in passion.
Yeah.
And I thought, giving for a dharmashala, which is used mainly by devotees, would be in the mode of goodness. So I'm a bit confused. Can you tell me why it is a Rajasic?
So it depends on the kind of dharamshala you're talking of. Because if it's
Right.
a Krishna guest house, that's in service of Krishna, isn't it?
Yes.
So for the Vaishnavas. So that's not, that's in mode of goodness. But you can have other, like when you open a hospital or a school,
Yeah.
that charity is called Rajasika.
Yeah, it is, because they are doing it for their own fame or something. So yeah, I understand.
Even
that.
though it benefits, but what the thing is, it's not that the hospital and school is not a good charity, but that's not a long term for your spiritual life, not the advancement in spiritual life. And there are plenty of people who are in the mode of passion and can look after these kind of charity, but you need very special Vaishnavas. The charity they are doing is the highest, Mataji, because that's you're changing their life, not for this lifetime, but you're changing their life for all their future.
Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you,
Thank
Mataji,
you.
for your sweet contribution.
And other thing that we do in ISKCON is a charity of giving this holy name to others. Devotees go to the streets, they give the holy name, and devotees give prasadam on the streets as well as in the temple. That is also another charity.
Yeah, because what happens is there is a direct charity and indirect, because those people who are not interested in Krishna consciousness, but when you ask them to donate something, even if they take prasadam or they make some contribution towards books, we are engaging them indirectly. We are getting them hooked indirectly, and Krishna will then slowly, that's their first step towards their spiritual life. So charity, whether it's done directly or you engage people indirectly, all is worthwhile. Especially, it's harder work when you're engaging people in indirect charity. Yes, Mataji. Mataji, you're muted.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah,
So you can only give charity in the like like the other Mataji said about say to a hostel.
Yeah.
Say it was a homeless hostel.
So
Like
yeah,
like say in England we feed the poor, we feed homeless people. Feeding them is a charity because you're feeding somebody who have no food.
yes, Mataji, that is.
But you see, but they're not. They can be just anybody from the street. But you're still helping somebody.
Yeah, Mataji, we can help them, and we can go one further step. We can give them food, but we can give them prasadam.
Yes.
Instead of just food.
Yeah. Because you can always offer it before you give it. That's fine. So you're allowed to do that.
Turn it into prasadam. If you're going to feed the hungry,
yes,
we do food for hunger.
We do.
We
yes.
say that nobody in the 10-mile radius of the temple should go hungry.
Yes.
And,
no, we also have here in Bolton, we have charities that provide food for homeless people. And, we offer it.
Haribol, that's
before we give it.
Yes.
So
that's a wonderful.
I was a bit confused when, okay. So say you give. I don't give anybody say I wouldn't give somebody £10 on the street or £5 or £2 on the street because that can go towards drugs or alcohol or I know that. But there is a charity that I give to, is a women's aid charity for women, abused women, because I used to be a support worker for them. And I give to that charity because they are people who have had to come out of their homes for circumstances not in their control. And I actually help them as a and I just do it as I just do,
Yes, Mataji, and you can add a further point to that. For those people, maybe you can also support them to teach them how to chant or give them Prabhupada's books, because that would, apart from giving them shelter, we also want to help them with their spiritual life. See, the shelter one, Mataji, that doesn't, sometimes that doesn't solve the problem, because
it doesn't solve the problem because some women have all their life, they've worked their life. And there was a lady that we supported. She was 65 years old and she had one carrier bag for her life. That was it. And you see people like that and you think, is this it to life? So then then later on she stayed with us and we got her accommodation and we got her benefits sorted and stuff like that. And you see, because in some you can preach to people, but sometimes you're not allowed to. Oh, you have to be very careful when you're preaching, when you're working, that you do not how can you say when you say you're working for an organization where you're supporting people, you're not allowed to influence people.
Yeah, you can give prasadam, Mataji. You can offer and you can give prasadam. Okay.
You can give that, but
exactly. So okay, books maybe you cannot say because of some some restrictions like that. But some sweets, you can just share sweets. Prepare nice sweets.
Oh yeah.
To lordships.
I have done that.
Yeah, that's perfect. That's
what
perfect.
I'm confused about is...
No, there is no confusion at all. What Mataji is saying is, in addition to whatever you are doing,
yes,
something spiritual, which, you can give prasadam. That's absolutely perfect.
Oh, yeah. I've done that. I've given prasadam and I've given mithai and I've done...
Exactly.
I used to take it into the office and give everybody some.
Perfect.
But sometimes you have to be, you have to be...
you have to
be aware of different forms of, because you thought about different forms of charity.
Exactly.
What you're doing that was part of your job, right?
Yes.
So what you do, that's a job.
Yes.
But now that you're in Krishna consciousness, you would be able to help, those ladies, if you were able to give them, help them to learn to because whatever past karma, now they need more help to advance to a spiritual life. So they're not, this repetition doesn't go on. Somewhere we can cut this by chant if you are willing to go a further mile. But if not in that side, but now that you're here in Krishna, you would put your energies, you're not working now, say, all the time, then you can put to help ladies and others in a different way for your, your charity work becomes more mode of goodness here in promoting Krishna consciousness.
Okay.
I would have thought. Please correct me, devotees.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's wonderful discussion. Thank you very much, everyone, for participating. I can't see any questions on YouTube, and unfortunately, our dear Madhav Kumar Prabhu is not here today, and this is a very good occasion for him to announce about Shastra Dan. So that means I have to do that bit. He is very good at doing it. As Madhav Kumar Prabhu has mentioned, and Mataji clearly stated today from purports of Srila Prabhupada and Bhagavad Gita, that the best charity that we could do is to give spirituality to other living entities, support the spiritual organization like our ISKCON. And we have a wonderful initiative in our ISKCON Manchester Center, where if somebody wants to donate a little bit, whatever they feel like, to that particular initiative, Shastradan, and the fund will sit in a pot, and once it reaches a threshold, certain books will be released and distributed to the devotees who are not able to otherwise buy them and study them, and they can be announced as well. So please, spread this word around and see what you can do to help this project. And so the next thing is that we have a Friday Chaitanya Charitamrita class, and Sunday there will be another topic, and that will be 3 types of knowledge. Knowledge is in 3 types. And on Friday, Chaitanya Charitamrita topic is Advent of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So just another announcement is that this Tuesday is the appearance of Srila Gopal Bhatta Goswami. He is one of our 6 Goswamis. So his appearance is on Tuesday. Request devotees to hear and read about Srila Gopal Bhatta Goswami.
I think Sita Mataji, did you want to say anything?
Who, sorry?
Sita Mataji, I thought I saw your hand.
No, Sita Mataji didn't raise her hand. That's it, dear devotees. Thank you very much. And Mataji, once again, appreciate for preparing nicely and delivering a wonderful lecture on this charity. I know it's a little bit tricky topic, but you've done a great job. Thank you.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada
Thank
ki
you.
jai, Grandaraj
Thank you.
Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Nitai Gaura Premanandi, Hari Hari Bol.